Welcome to Newsday. Now to a top story this hour. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is on his way to Nigeria, where he will meet with President Muhammadu Buhari and deliver a keynote speech on Joe Biden's African policy. His trip is part of a three-day nation tour of the continent. He met with Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta on Wednesday, where he discussed regional issues and also reaffirmed Washington's push for a diplomatic resolution to the conflict in Ethiopia's Tigray region. Mr. Blinken is expected to deliver a speech outlining the Biden administration's African policy in Abuja in a few hours' time. His visit comes as Washington removed Nigeria from its list of countries with religious freedom concerns. Nigeria was added to the list for the first time in 2020, but was not redesignated. Now, well, for more on Antony Blinken's visit to Nigeria, let's join our ICE correspondent, Rotimi KADE. Rotimi, I want to say thank you very much for joining us here on Newsday. Talk to us. Tell us more about this decision by the U.S. State Department to remove Nigeria from the list of countries with religious freedom concerns.
Well, Aaron, it's actually unclear if the so-called redesignation from the list of countries with religious freedom concerns was related to the Secretary's visits. The State Department did not give any reasons for that, and that action has drawn, sharp criticism from the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, who in April recommended that Nigeria remain on the list, and citing violence by Islamic State and other non-state actors in the country. The recent security threats in the country has been very, it's taking a real big bites on vulnerable communities, especially the Christian communities, and a lot of people and other organizations have actually raised concerns on why the State Department at this time had to pull out Nigeria from the list of that, with religious concerns.
Rotimi, but do we know what is expected to be the contents of the talk with President Buhari?
Well, according to the U.S. State Department's release, Blinken and Buhari will likely discuss, one, cooperation on global health security vis-a-vis COVID-19 pandemic and Nigeria's accessibility to vaccines. And number two, expanding energy access and economic growth. And number three, Blinken is likely going to, or is expected to actually talk about, U.S.-Africa policy, emphasizing on, value of democracy. This year alone, the continent actually witnessed about 3 successive military coups, and, threatening, decades of progress towards democracy. So most likely these are going to be the top agenda, for both leaders.
All right. What is Joe Biden's vision for Africa that is set to be outlined by Mr. Blinken in his speech later on today?
Well, first of all, I think Biden would like the policy that was released since its inauguration as president on Africa was just centrally focused on increasing trade in Africa, especially when you look at China's influence in Africa and how it's making, headway in so many countries in Africa. So increasing trade is number one for the Biden administration, and secondly, security cooperation with many African countries, looking at the influence also of the Islamic State and how they're penetrating into vulnerable African countries. So these are the two major agenda for Biden, and also don't forget, the U.S. has always been the one of the closest allies to Africa, supporting Africa in terms of AIDS and and all what have you. So most likely we're going to see increased aid to African countries and for in terms of health, and also perhaps in other ways that can uplift Africa's economy.
All right. Well, thank you for that update. As always, Rotimi KADE reporting live from the U.S.